They were ready to enjoy their golden years together.
They had been married for decades. They were the perfect couple.
He had worked a long time, and he was reaping the benefits.
But on a cold Chicago morning, their golden years ended in a terrifying hail of gunfire.
I'm listening to her holler and scream, "He been shot, somebody shot him."
At first, police believe the murder is yet another tragic incident in a city plagued by violence.
In Chicago, a lot of assumption is, oh, it's gang-related.
He was one of those neighborhood watch type of guys where if he see anything, he would report it.
For all the community knew, this was retaliation for him being a concerned citizen.
But when the shocking truth is revealed, it will tear a loving family apart at the seams.
He was easy manipulated.
This is like the ultimate level of betrayal.
Saturday, March 2nd, 2013, 3:30 a.m. It's a cold, dark morning on the south side of Chicago when a paratransit van pulls up to the home of 72-year-old William Strickland to pick him up for his regular dialysis appointment.
One of his kidney count was like a number too low. So he started going to dialysis.
As William exits his residence, the driver records the pickup time into his logbook.
The same driver had been picking William up for years.
But today, the routine pickup takes a deadly turn.
The driver looks down to make his notes, and he hears gunshots.
When the driver looks up, he sees William Strickland lying on the ground and a man in a black hoodie fleeing the scene with William's tote bag. As he exits the van, the driver spots a second man in a dark hoodie not far from the scene.
He was walking down the street away from the home.
The driver hurries to William's aid, just as William's wife, 63-year-old Janet Strickland, rushes out the front door.
Oh my gosh, what happened? Oh my God.
She had her phone. She was calling the police.
Yes, somebody shot my husband. You have to please come and help him. Hurry, please, baby, please.
With police on the way, the driver jumps back in his van.
He went and circled the block, hoping to spot which direction the shooters fled.
Meanwhile, Janet stays behind, waiting for help to arrive, and wondering if these are her last moments with her beloved husband of more than 20 years. Southside native William Strickland worked for everything he had.
He didn't really finish high school. His first job was in construction.
He had put in a lot of work, many, many years of hard labor in the steel mills.
William also worked hard to earn a reputation as a ladies' man.
Come on, let me holler at you.
My mother told me, watch out with him. You always bring him strays home.
William loved women, and women loved William.
I'm gonna see you later.
The way you just kissed me, maybe I just might fit you on my schedule.
Call me.
Though most of William's romances didn't last very long, one of them did produce a daughter, who William gladly raised as a single father. Not that parenthood came easily to him.
But growing up with him, it was like he didn't know how to do raise a girl. My mom was gone doing her thing.
When his daughter Leslie was still a baby, William met a woman who would change both of their lives forever. 31-year-old Janet Johnson.
She was a bargain with
Everything I do is so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta
After a
against
whirlwind
people who
romance,
patented
Janet
being
moved in
negative when
and
you should be
became part of
getting
the
after it.
family.
She just did everything he needed, kept the house clean, cooked his meals.
After 10 years together, William and Janet officially tied the knot.
He cared, loved Janet, gave her everything she wanted. That's how he was.
As for Janet, she'd come to see William's daughter as her own.
Growing up with her as a kid, oh my God, a kid's dream.
As a reformed ladies' man, William laid down strict ground rules about whom Leslie could date. But when she was a junior in high school, Leslie got pregnant.
16, I'm I'm pregnant. Everybody was upset.
Once Leslie's baby boy, Deshaun, was born, William quickly warmed to the role of granddad.
Hey, little man.
And as Deshaun got older, Leslie and her dad grew even closer.
He was just like, I know I wasn't always the perfect dad or whatever. Growing older, we had like a really good relationship.
In the early 2000s, Leslie moved out, got married, and had a daughter, who, like her half-brother Deshaun, regarded Janet as her grandmother.
She used to come pick me up from my mom's house during the summer. We had a bond.
By 2010, the Strickland family bond seemed stronger than ever. William had retired from the steel mill, and he and Janet were settling into their golden years.
He wasn't a wealthy person by any means, but he had a pension and Social Security benefits.
It wasn't an extravagant life, but it seemed to suit William and Janet just fine.
They had a loving family, home, friends. They were blessed.
And in June of 2012, William and Janet decided to use their blessings to help their grandson Deshaun get a leg up in life.
William and Janet let Deshaun live with them so he could save some money and still have some independence.
Fresh out of high school and Job Corps training, 19-year-old Deshaun was eagerly looking for work.
He has scaffold training. He has his plaster certificates.
However, despite Deshaun's training, steady jobs proved hard to come by.
You working today?
Trying to. I heard they're looking for some crew up at the office park, so yes, sir.
He wasn't able to really get anything as far as steady income, a little construction work, picking up a little odds and ends job.
While living with his grandparents was mostly a financial decision, it was also a chance for Deshaun to bond with his grandfather.
They became close. William was proud of Deshaun for working hard, just as he'd done in his youth.
Good luck with that. Have a good one now.
Thanks, Grandpa.
All right.
And now at age 72, William was enjoying his time with the family he and Janet had built together.
It seemed like this final chapter was going to be among the best for them.
But everything changed for the Strickland family in the early morning hours of March 2nd, 2013.
Mr. Strickland's viciously gunned down and robbed.
It looked like he's not gonna make it.
Please hang on in there, William.
But there's nothing emergency personnel can do for William. He's suffered multiple gunshot wounds and is pronounced dead on arrival.
I didn't have no emotions. I couldn't. A murder? A robbery? My dad? No.
As the crime scene tape goes up, detectives hit the ground running to find William's killer.
Who was waiting for an elderly man to leave his home at 3:30 in the morning?
But investigators have no idea just how deep the roots of this evil plot actually run.
It gets really deep and really scary and dark.
How did someone know that he was going to be out exactly at that time?
Everything was kind of like planned and plotted out.
By March of 2013, Chicagoland natives William and Janet Strickland had been together over 30 years.
They were just a typical retired couple living a quiet life.
They'd recently taken in their young grandson, Deshaun, to help him get a leg up in life.
They seemed to be happy.
But shortly after 3 o'clock on the morning of March 2nd, 2013, their life together came to a sudden and tragic end.
My phone started ringing like 3:30. And all you hear is, oh my God, he been shot, he been shot, screaming and hollering.
I could hear Janet screaming through the phone like, William been shot.
I hit the floor, so I'm crying. My husband, I remember him asking me like, what's wrong, what's wrong?
This guy just recently celebrated his 72nd birthday, and that's ironic to reach that milestone, 72 years, and the life to be snatched away from you.
But who would kill this 72-year-old grandfather? To answer this question, detectives turned to William's visibly shaken wife.
Janet Strickland was very upset and crying at the crime scene.
She told detectives she was in the house when the shooting occurred.
But as detectives questioned Janet, the paratransit driver returns to the scene.
I drove all around, but I couldn't find either of them.
There was more than one?
I think
It was 2.
Acting on the driver's information, officers fan out across the area, looking for anyone fitting the description of the 2 suspects.
He described them as wearing tan pants, a black hoodie.
Meanwhile, detectives begin processing the crime scene, which at first glance feels all too familiar.
You got a victim on the ground, you got property taken, you got offenders fleeing to the rear. Okay, this is a robbery.
However, there are several things about the scene that give detectives pause, starting with William's body.
He still has chains on, which are very expensive, and a cell phone that ultimately someone could have taken.
Maybe they realized the van driver saw them and ran off before they could take everything.
But that doesn't explain another troubling aspect of the crime.
This didn't seem like a random occurrence. Who was waiting for an elderly man to leave his home at 3:30 in the morning?
Furthermore, it seems the shooter was determined to kill William, not just rob him.
You don't need to shoot an old man 6 times to steal his bag. That's excessive. That seems like you wanted him dead.
Detectives escort Janet and the van driver down to headquarters to record their official statements. Meanwhile, CSIs finish processing the scene.
You got shell casings, so you immediately know we've got a semi-automatic handgun.
Ballistics testing of the casings could help police identify the murder weapon.
But can the sole witness to the shooting identify who pulled the trigger? It's almost dawn when detectives sit down with the paratransit driver.
So, the men that you saw, would you recognize them again if you saw them?
It was dark, and one of them was kind of up the street, and I just saw him from the back.
With the van driver unable to offer any additional information, detectives interview William's widow, Janet.
Now, I know this is hard, but we need to know.
Okay.
Was there anything unusual about this morning?
No, it was just like every Saturday.
She had prepared him breakfast like she'd done many times before. He exits the door. She's still at the door to secure it.
Janet says that just seconds after she closed the front door, shots rang out.
Now, did you see the shooter?
No. It happened so fast.
Janet heard the shots. She ran outside, and the shooters were no longer present.
Neither was the tote bag that William always took with him to his dialysis appointment.
Janet indicated to the police officers that his wallet was in the canvas tote that was missing.
He did have a tendency to keep a substantial amount of cash.
He didn't use credit cards, and he didn't trust banks.
You know, and I would try to tell him, honey, please don't carry that much cash on you around here, you know. But he would never listen to me.
Janet's story gives detectives yet another reason to doubt the shooting was just a random robbery.
So who else would know that he carried his wallet in that bag?
Well, the van driver and Deshaun.
Deshaun?
Yes, that's our grandson.
Janet told police they'd recently let their 19-year-old grandson live with them.
Detectives can't help but wonder, could William's own flesh and blood be responsible for his death?
It happens all too often. A grandchild sees their grandparent as an easy target for some quick cash.
A desperate person is capable of unimaginable things.
Over the last decade, Chicago has ranked as one of America's most violent cities. In 2017 alone, there were more than 14,000 violent crimes, including 328 homicides, 5,613 motor vehicle thefts, and more than 5,000 armed robberies. Mere hours after retired steelworker William Strickland was gunned down outside his Southside Chicago home, his widow Janet has just introduced a new angle to the investigation.
Janet explained to detectives that William's 19-year-old grandson, Deshaun, lived with them.
He had to be somewhat reliant on his grandmother for some funds.
Detectives can't help but wonder, Was Deshaun so financially strapped that he was willing to harm his own grandfather?
Miss Strickland, where was Deshaun during all of this?
I think Deshaun was out with his girlfriend.
Okay.
Detectives moved to track down Deshaun for questioning, but Deshaun is already at the station.
His grandmother called him about the shooting, and he came right away.
When detectives lay eyes on Deshaun, they do a double take.
Deshaun appeared in a black hoodie, which was seen on a suspect that was running away from the crime scene earlier that morning.
That immediately had the detectives wondering if Deshaun could be the shooter.
Deshaun's sweatshirt has the letter CMM on the back, which the witness didn't mention.
Questioned by detectives, Deshaun tells them he and his girlfriend Michelle Jones were at a friend's house when the shooting occurred.
What time did you get there?
Around midnight.
From his account, that's where he stayed until he got this phone call a few hours later from his grandmother that his grandfather had been shot.
Why didn't you go home?
Well, I did.
Deshaun says that he did get in the car. He had his girlfriend with him, Michelle. They returned to the home, but the crime scene had been taped off, and he didn't feel like he could deal with it. He took the girlfriend, Michelle, back home. He did subsequently return for interview.
Now, did you change in between?
Change my clothes? No.
So this CMM on your hoodie, what does that stand for?
Oh, Cash Money Mob.
Is that like a gang or something?
A gang? No.
It's something that just a group of kids put together. Music production companies has produced dance party. They promote dance groups, little rappers.
Now, this mob, they wouldn't have anything to do with Williams' murder, would they?
No.
He was defensive of that. He was saying my associates wouldn't have had anything to do with targeting my grandfather. They don't even know him.
Deshaun also insists that he had nothing to do with the murder.
He dismissed it as being absurd. He's like, this is the man that's been taking care of me all my life.
Thought of him even laying there.
Though the sentiment is endearing, detectives aren't ready to take Deshaun at his word.
We're gonna always go back and, check out your alibis and corroborate the statements.
So after talking to Deshaun, detectives follow up with his girlfriend, Michelle Jones.
Michelle told detectives that she and Deshaun had gone to a party on Friday night, and then around midnight, they'd gone to their friend Sarah Freeman's.
She informed the police they were there until they received a phone call from Janet telling them of the murder.
Her story seemed to be pretty much in sync of what he had said.
With Deshaun's alibi seemingly confirmed, detectives begin pursuing other avenues.
You're kind of back to square one. You've got two dark figures, not a real good clothing description.
So detectives return to the scene of the crime, hoping to secure new witnesses.
But it was so early in the morning, nobody saw anything. At most, they were woken by gunshots.
One thing everyone in the neighborhood can agree on is the fact that William Strickland will be sorely missed.
He looked out not just for us, the whole neighborhood.
He always reported what he saw to the police. He was their neighborhood watch.
Which leaves detectives wondering, had William's vigilance come back to haunt him?
For all the community knew, this was retaliation for him being a concerned citizen.
The crime rate in the area has gotten worse.
We don't do it nothing at night. At least I don't. Even when I take the garbage out, it's gonna be in the daytime.
Operating on the theory that William's murder might have been some form of retribution, police in the area begin working their informants.
They asked around and leaned on their informant network.
In a case like this, the street guys are very helpful usually. I mean, they're just as offended, a lot of them, that somebody's 72-year-old grandfather was gunned down.
This time, however, that isn't the case.
Nobody heard anything. Nothing panned out from that.
But the following afternoon, detectives received some stunning new information from an unexpected source.
Leslie, the daughter of William, called to inform them of some very important information.
Information that will have detectives taking a deeper look at someone close to the case.
He's come into some money. You know, he's getting new tattoos, gym shoes, you know, a vehicle. So it's a little disconcerting to her.
He was just acting just strange and stupid.
With no clear motive or suspects, Chicago homicide detectives believe the murder of 72-year-old William Strickland may have been payback for his efforts to keep a lid on crime in his neighborhood.
The man trying his hardest to clean up the neighborhood ends up dead outside his own home for everyone to see.
But on March 9th, 2013, 1 week after the murder, William's daughter Leslie asks to speak with police and sends the investigation in a different direction.
It's about my son, Deshaun.
And what's going on with him?
She started noticing some things that were a little suspicious. She saw Deshaun with new shoes, a new car, some new tattoos.
I kept asking, why are you getting all these tattoos? You ain't gonna be able to get a job. You getting all tattooed up, who gonna hire you?
That isn't the only disturbing question Deshaun's flashy new lifestyle raises for Leslie either.
She knows that he's not working, and where's this money coming from?
Leslie didn't have a good reason to suspect her own son, but it was something that she thought she should share.
Based on Leslie's statement, detectives decide to take a closer look at Deshaun.
They pulled his record and realized that he didn't have a criminal background at all.
But while there's nothing about Deshaun that suggests he could be a killer, detectives wonder if perhaps he had fallen in with the wrong crowd.
Who knows? One of Deshaun's friends could have done this.
Like Mama used to tell you, you know, be careful who you hang with.
Detectives start by looking into the backgrounds of some of Deshaun's associates from his upstart record label, the Cash Money Mob.
They're claiming that we're a rap group, and they do go buy some studio time, but they finance it by, you know, street drug sales and of course, the inherent violence that comes with it.
Sometimes, as far as the police are concerned, it's splitting hairs between who's a hardcore gangbanger and who's just a wannabe.
There's only probably 10% at the most that are actually hardcore vested gang members.
Detectives put the word out to their street informants for more info on the Cash Money Mob. Meanwhile, they take a deeper look at Deshaun's alibi. And on March 16th, they bring his friend Sarah Freeman in for questioning.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi. Both Deshaun and Michelle claim they were hanging out at Sarah's when the murder occurred.
At first, it appears that Deshaun's alibi once again checks out.
Sarah told the investigators that they were all at a party, like Deshaun had stated.
But then, Sarah's version of events takes a sudden turn.
They dropped me off at my house around midnight, and then I left.
Sarah told the police that Deshaun and Michelle were going to hang out with Deshaun's friends.
Sarah knocked a huge hole in Deshaun's alibi.
So was that the last time that you saw him?
No, around 4 a.m. They woke me up.
He was knocking on her window, asking to use her phone so that he can call his grandmother, Janet.
Obviously, that was unusual.
Sarah stated that after Deshaun made that phone call and talked to Janet, he told her that his grandfather had just been shot. Michelle and Deshaun left to go to Deshaun's home to see what was going on. Sarah didn't hear from him again until about an hour later.
Sarah says that this time, when Deshaun returned, he asked her for an even bigger favor.
This investigation is really taking a turn to the left now. We're starting to get some real questions.
This is the break in the case that the investigators wanted.
It's been 2 weeks since the murder of William Strickland, and a woman named Sarah Freeman has just blown holes in the alibi of his grandson, Deshaun Strickland.
Deshaun said he was with his girlfriend, Michelle, and his friend, Sarah, all night.
According to Sarah, he and Michelle weren't, in fact, over there at Sarah's house all this time. So now we got a big deviation.
But that's not all. Sarah says Deshaun returned to her house a half hour after the murder.
When Deshawn returns to Sarah's house, Sarah claims that Deshawn had said to her, "Can you hold this gun for me?"
Sarah described the gun as a small black handgun. The officers conclude that this could possibly be the .25 caliber that they were looking for.
Do you know where the gun is? Do you still have it?
No, he came and got it from me yesterday.
After gleaning all this information from Sarah, it was determined that the next re-interview was going to be with the girlfriend, Michelle.
On March 29th, detectives bring Michelle Jones in for questioning.
Come on, Michelle. You need to tell us the truth before it's too late for us to help you.
Why do I need your help?
Because you were involved with a murder.
Once detectives put the pressure on Michelle, she ended up coming clean.
She eventually disclosed that Deshawn did tell her that he was looking for someone to kill his grandfather.
But according to Michelle, Deshawn eventually stopped looking.
In the early hours of the morning, Deshawn just says to her, "Hey, I'm gonna do this." And then at that point, he literally snatches her up from the couch.
Michelle tells detectives that once they left Sarah's, Deshawn drove to his grandparents' house.
Michelle said Deshawn pulled around back and parked in the alley behind the house.
At that point, he gets the gun from up under the seat.
Deshawn gets out the car. He takes his hoodie, turns him inside out,
and he leaves her. Goes down the alley toward his grandfather's house.
Then you heard the gunshots?
Her account is she actually dozes off, and then Deshawn returns to the vehicle. He's still got the gun, and in addition, he's shaking, he's out of breath. Now he's got this bag that's the same description that the victim had home.
What did you do? Deshawn, what did you do?
Shut up! She also further goes on to say somewhere around the 15th of the month, she was also with Deshawn when they returned to Sarah's again to retrieve this gun he had asked Sarah to hide for him.
And when detectives asked what Deshawn did with the gun, Michelle said he gave it to a friend of his named Eric Williams.
The driver had seen two people fleeing the scene. Police wondered if Eric could have been Deshawn's accomplice.
Detectives waste no time tracking down Eric Williams.
We're gonna cut straight to the chase. We wanna talk about Deshawn's 25mm Beretta.
About 3 or 4 months before the shooting, he saw Deshawn with a small handgun, a .25 caliber. Eric inquired into purchasing the gun, but Deshawn told Eric that he could not sell it to him.
According to Eric, Deshawn said he needed it for something special.
Told me he wanted to find somebody to kill his grandfather.
He had even offered possibly 2 stacks, which is on the street $2,000 for that to happen. He states that he didn't take the offer or the solicitation for murder that seriously.
But according to Eric Williams, Deshawn didn't let the matter drop.
But after a while, he wouldn't leave me alone. So I told him, okay, I got you.
Despite his non-committal answer, Eric says that Deshawn had expected him to deliver.
Deshawn called Eric the day before the shooting and told him that they were going to do it that night.
I didn't want to kill nobody. So after that, when he called me, I ain't answered my phone.
Eric says that when he gets up the next day, he's shocked to see on Facebook that Deshawn is posting on there, "I can't believe my grandfather's dead." And of course, that prompted him to immediately get in touch with Deshawn. And he's like, "Man, what's going on?" And Deshawn says, "Man, I couldn't wait anymore. I just did it myself."
So did Eric call the police? No. Instead, he figured that now Deshawn was done with it, maybe he could finally buy the gun off him.
He linked up with Eric in a few days and brought over a .25 caliber Beretta.
You still have it?
Yeah, I'll get it for you.
It's sent to the Illinois State Police crime labs for forensic comparison to determine if it's the same weapon.
But the lab results will take time. Meanwhile, detectives work to verify Eric Williams' statement.
Eric was being cooperative, but at the same time, he knew a lot about this case and never came forward until now.
Not to mention the fact that 2 people were seen fleeing the scene that night. If his only alibi was that he was asleep, that was seen as pretty flimsy.
Detectives start by pulling Eric's phone records, which seem to corroborate his alibi the night of the murder.
Deshaun did, in fact, repeatedly try and contact Eric. Eric wasn't answering the phone. We had cell phone records that does place them in the areas where people said that they were.
So on March 29th, while still awaiting the results of the ballistics testing, detectives placed Deshaun under arrest for his grandfather's murder. Deshaun's mother, Leslie, is devastated.
I raised him, you know, and that's why it hurted me so much.
I wish he would have just been open with us in the beginning and just talked to us.
Deshaun was charged at that time with first-degree murder and additionally with armed robbery.
At that time, they didn't really feel they had enough evidence to say if there was a second accomplice on the scene that night. They determined the second man that driver saw was likely just an innocent bystander.
Though she was there that night, they don't arrest Deshaun's girlfriend, Michelle Jones.
She had cooperated with detectives, and so they felt she really had no involvement in the murder.
But just when detectives think this case is closed, Deshaun's mother, Leslie, once again turns things upside down.
Leslie has some new information that she's going to detectives with.
According to Leslie, she'd just gone to see her son for the first time since his arrest.
When he got locked up, I went to go visit him. And I'm like, Deshaun, what? You need to talk. You need to talk.
If you know something, you need to tell me.
He could not look her in the eye.
Look at me, Deshaun.
I'm not supposed to be here.
You took my daddy away from me, and now you need to tell me why.
He was just shaking his head, and he was just like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. That was all he kept saying in the beginning. And he finally looked up and was like,
she had it done.
This is like the ultimate level of portrayal in all my years as a detective. Those crimes where the mother or the father or the grandson or the wife is the one that perpetuates the crime against the victim. Those always struck me as the most evil, you know, even more so than the strangers from the outside. It's a real sad situation.
Just days after Deshaun Strickland's arrest for the murder of his grandfather, William, Deshaun's mother, William's daughter, Leslie, has come forward with some startling information.
She visited him in jail and asked him why he did this.
He was just shaking his head, and he was just like, she had it done.
Dumbstruck, Leslie asks Deshaun to repeat what he just said.
Are you saying Janet has something to do with this?
She asked Deshaun whether Janet had anything to do with her father's murder. Deshaun dropped his head and then looked at his mother and said yes.
He was pretty much like, man, she did this. And I'm like, she did what? And that's when he got to telling me she paid somebody that he knew to have it done.
Deshaun tells Leslie that by his grandmother's own admission, she was willing to pay as much as $2 grand to have William killed.
Based on what Deshaun's girlfriend Michelle told them about the night of the murder, detectives still believe Deshaun was the shooter. But his story did explain the $2,000 he offered his friend Eric.
Leslie tells detectives that as floored as she was by what Deshaun told her, as she thought back on her stepmom's behavior in the days since the murder, Deshaun's story was starting to make sense.
Janet's behavior had become very peculiar right after the murder of her husband. She started going to the casino often. She started making large purchases.
She went to Rent-A-Center and bought a television set that was connected to a refrigerator and a fireplace.
The guy at the Rent-A-Center store even heard her make the comment in the store, oh my God, I'm free now, I can get whatever I want.
Although according to Leslie, Janet wasn't solely spending money on herself.
Everything that Deshaun received, knew, Janet paid before.
April 4th, 2013. After speaking with Leslie, detectives bring Janet Strickland in for questioning. In the weeks since detectives last spoke with her health has deteriorated.
She had to get some type of treatment, and a breathing tube was being utilized for her benefit at that time.
That doesn't stop detectives from pressing Janet about her husband's murder.
You ever got fed up? Like, I wish he was out of the picture so, you could have some peace?
She's saying that it was a long-term loving relationship.
Although Janet admits it wasn't perfect.
Well, he was a little tight with the dollar, but that's just the way he was.
There was possibly some kind of strain in the relationship, as it turns out, just in the sense that what he may have considered frugal, she might have considered stingy.
She'd done things his way for 30 years, and now in their retirement, she wanted to spend money, not be buried with it.
When detectives confront Janet with what Deshawn told his mother, she pushes back.
I love that boy. But, I wasn't surprised at all when I heard he had done this.
It's a telling moment for detectives.
Up until this point, Janet hadn't said a thing to implicate Deshawn, but once detectives started suspecting it was her, she quickly turned around and started saying, "I think Deshawn did it."
Detectives have heard enough.
They went ahead and arrested her for murder.
But even with Janet Strickland under arrest, a conviction against her is far from a done deal.
Janet was not connected to a gun. There was no personal knowledge of anyone seeing her involved directly with the crime. There's only hearsay information and statements from witnesses.
To strengthen their case against Janet, the district attorney offers Deshawn a reduced sentence in exchange for testifying against his grandmother.
They got it down to 30 years, but he was like, I'm not gonna take a plea deal for 30 years for something I didn't do.
So in February of 2016, Deshawn goes on trial. In their opening statements, the prosecution paints Deshawn as a willing participant in Janet's deadly conspiracy.
There was testimony that Deshawn received a large lump sum of money from Janet and was getting material gifts like the car and the phone and everything else as hush money.
But it's the gun Deshawn asked his friend Sarah Freeman to hide that proves to be the most compelling evidence against him.
The ballistics test come back, and it was the gun that indeed was used for the murder of William Strickland. Deshawn is found guilty and sentenced to 40 years in prison.
While they're happy with the outcome, prosecutors are still worried that the case against Janet isn't airtight.
This is a case of all circumstantial evidence.
But it's not just the nature of the evidence against Janet that concerns prosecutors.
For a lot of people, senior citizens are usually not murder suspects. And she was not in good health either.
However, when the trial begins in July of 2016, there will be no jury to sympathize with Janet's plight.
Janet opted for a bench trial, which means she did not have a jury hear her case.
Instead, it would be the judge who decided the verdict.
According to the prosecution's opening statement, Deshawn may have been the one who pulled the trigger, but Janet was the reason why.
They presented her to the court to be the mastermind behind all of this.
Prosecutors also reveal what they believe to be Janet's motive.
Prosecutors argued that Janet had her husband killed so that she could get access to all of his money.
Prosecutors also assert that Janet had racked up a mountain of bills before her husband's death.
She'd go and cash the checks instead of paying the bills.
And according to prosecutors, the more recklessly Janet spent her and William's money, the more worried she was that he would find out.
The house was very much at risk of being taken, and that would have been very bad news for her if, in fact, the victim was alive and found that out.
To keep her debts a secret, prosecutors say Janet convinced her grandson to take him out of the picture for good.
She told her grandson that if we kill him, we'll be able to spend all his money.
Prosecutors claim that in the wee hours of March 2nd, 2013, Janet put her master plan into motion.
Janet woke up that morning to fix her husband breakfast, knowing that that was going to be his last meal.
Once William stepped out the front door, Janet picked up the phone and waited for the opportunity to dial 911 and play the role of grieving widow.
She closed that door and stood at that door and heard them shots.
When it's their turn, the defense is quick to point out that the only evidence against Janet comes from Deshaun and his mother.
There was really no physical evidence connecting her to the crime at all.
Her attorneys were saying in court that as soon as he was shot, Janet Strickland was comforting him and trying to make the bleeding stop.
Not so, say prosecutors.
According to the prosecution, she wasn't really trying to comfort him. She was simply waiting for him to die.
In the end, the judge believes the circumstantial evidence is enough to warrant a guilty verdict.
She was convicted of conspiring in the murder of her husband. She was sentenced to 18 years in prison.
She's probably going to pass away in prison.
It was like a sense of relief because it was like, at least my son is not sitting here, you know, finna take all of this by himself. She raised me to be who I am. I can't hate her because hate is a strong word, but I know that she had this done and she needs to be what she needs to be.
As for her son, Deshaun, Leslie isn't convinced justice was actually served.
My son got a heart of gold. Ain't never been a thug, no drug dealer, no gang banger, none of that.